The New Unfiltered is sponsored by BetterHelp. Listen throughout the show to get a promo code to gift you or someone you love a subscription to BetterHelp this holiday season. If you've ever talked to a friend who's gone to therapy, they probably have really good things to say that hopefully inspires you to start going to therapy too. Now, as I started my business from such a young age, let me tell you, I have struggled tremendously along the way. If you've never listened to a New Unfiltered episode or aren't familiar with any of my work, go take a look online at how I started this business. I mean, I was 12 years old. And if you can imagine the anxiety and depression I personally started to experience when I was 16, trying to run a business, doing the whole starving artist thing, it was really, really, really difficult. And something that always got me through those moments where I just felt really weak and alone was therapy. In this season of giving, give yourself what you need with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/new unfiltered today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/new unfiltered. BetterHelp, HELP.com/new unfiltered. What is up, you guys? Welcome to a new episode of The New Unfiltered. I am wearing this all cream outfit and I just think it's the coolest thing ever. Now living in the UK, I all of a sudden want to dress up all the time. It's the weirdest thing. Like I get up, I have my morning, and I've never been so excited to put on a cool outfit and walk down the street or sit at a coffee shop. I mean, that may be a cliche, but if it is, I'm totally fine with it. So a new year is coming up, and I know that a lot of you always want to start businesses or start getting paid to post. And if you're following me on social media, if you're not, make sure you are because I just launched a new company and I feel very optimistic and excited about it. It's called Alexa Curtis Consulting, and we offer a range of different services from consulting services to referral only for now, public relations services, SEO marketing, video editing. And I want to explain a little bit about what made me launch this company before getting into what's important in this episode, which is how to start a business. But over the years, I have had tremendous success cold pitching myself to media outlets, getting on the Today Show, KTLA, Good Morning America, Forbes, Business Insider. I've never had a publicist. Once when I worked at Disney, I paid a publicist $2,500 a month, and I wasn't even paid this much being at Disney, so I don't even know how I afforded it. It was rough. But let me tell you, I tracked the amount of stuff this woman did, and I was always able to get myself better results. And I think that's where my whole fearless mission comes in. I mean, I've lived by this since I was a child, is because you have to think outside the box, and no one will ever give you what you can give yourself. So, along with having so much experience in public relations and marketing just from this business, I've also had a tremendous amount of experience with negotiating with video editors, hiring video editors, firing video editors, photographers, SEO consultants, finding a good virtual assistant, which is super, super hard. And so I started to slowly realize over the past like 4 or 6 weeks, especially when I moved to London, that I have this tenacity about me that has enabled me to try so many things and fail at so many different things and be successful with some of it and not with the other parts of it. And that's enabled me to get in front of many people. To now, I know exactly who the best video editor is. I know who the best girl for CEO is. I know who the best person for video editing for cheap, that's just for reels versus like an actual long form event style video. So I have put together this incredible company and roster and team of people outsourcing the majority of this work, but predominantly being still the face of this company so that if you're interested in personal branding or more of the consulting, I do a lot of that, and I do a lot of that through the Stay Fearless or Die Trying newsletter. In the past week, I've had about 5 new signups for this premium membership. This premium membership is the cheapest thing that I offer. It's $15 a month. And we start with a coaching call. And that coaching call goes over everything that you need to know before you either A, launch your business or before you pivot into something else. And so through those coaching calls, through a lot of outreach on social media, I figured it's New Year. Let's talk about how you start a business. So there's a lot that goes into this. And I started a blog when I was 12. Now, when I was 12, I had no expectation for anything to become anything. Like I was 12 years old, you guys. So I was a baby. Over the years, when I started to make money, about when I was 16, not a lot of money, but I never went to college and I never had a traditional job. So I ultimately started making money through those connections, through LinkedIn. This is before TikTok was even a thing. Like going viral was for the -1%. And I never found that I would fit into that mold. And I was totally fine with that because I love business. I love the game of business. I'm obsessed with all of it. So when I started my blog. I never really had a proper LLC until I started making money. So when I speak to a lot of you, I think you jump right to the, okay, I need a business, I need an LLC, I need an accountant, I need a bookkeeper, we need to raise money. No, you don't need any of that. Before you even get to that, you need to figure out your product market fit. I have become a massively obsessed person with optimizing my time and the amount of time that I spend working. When I was juggling a million things at once, sometimes I still am, the side hustle and then what actually pays your bills and all of that. I was spending hours sometimes doing really tedious tasks. And then I wouldn't actually be able to build the company. And so now I'm so streamlined with my time. I've read a lot of incredible books, one in particular that I'm currently reading called Thursday is the New Friday by Joe Sanic. And it's an amazing book because it goes into the hustle mentality, which I quite frankly have always been opposed to. And it also goes into that the hustle mentality is just stupid. You want to spend as much of your time living, exploring the world, doing things, making amazing money to support your family or your lifestyle while working the least amount. That doesn't mean that you don't actually want to be hustling, but it means that most of us give ourselves probably a week or a week and a half to say finish a proposal, or you're procrastinating, or something's taking too long. And in that amount of time, you've now given yourself 5 days, right, to get this done. And it's probably day 4, and you're like, oh my gosh, I never finished this. But what if you were able to give yourself 24 hours or even 24 minutes to get this done? That was your max, and you'd reward yourself in some capacity. Could you get it done? Could you do that sprint in that amount of time so that you don't necessarily need 5 days? Because I can almost guarantee you don't need the amount of time that you think you do to complete a task. So let's back up a sec. So these case studies, right? So my experience is a little bit different. I have consulted with and participated in startups in the past years since starting that blog, to where I've learned a lot of this, and it's all self-taught, right? I didn't go to college for business. All of this was self-taught, and I'm still learning every single day. So I want to talk about those case studies because those are very important. You don't need an LLC, you don't need a bookkeeper, you don't need an accountant, you don't need, a co-CEO. Perhaps you're a solopreneur and you don't need any of those things. What you need to do is figure out the pain point. So if you're wanting to start a business in 2024, or perhaps you already have a business and it's doing well and now you want to scale it, go to those existing customers and figure out what they need. And then from there, figure out what your niche is. I struggled for a really long time to figure out exactly what my niche is. And now I'm really able to say it's helping personal founders amplify their personal brand through their existing company. This was 10 years in the making to figure that out, right? Of course, I've got some other things I'm very good at, but what I would like to be, or Alexa Curtis Consulting to be in the next 5 years, is a massive consulting firm that enables me to know that that's the niche, but also outsource everything below it, because founders need so much. They need SEO, they need help with social media management. And I'm proud of this team, really proud that I've put together. Okay, so you got those case studies, and you can Google this. I mean, the case studies part, whenever I've done case studies, sometimes I've Googled what are good thought questions to ask someone when you're starting a case study. And that means finding 10 or 20 people, either what you think your ideal demographic is. So for me, that would perhaps be midlife, professionals, 25 to 40-year-old or 18 to 24. And then you want to source them either, if you don't have those clients yet, you want to source them through Slack groups, you want to source them through perhaps a LinkedIn newsletter, your LinkedIn connections. And then if you do have those people, that's your customer right there, right? Maybe you've got 1,000 Twitter followers and you don't have a product yet you're selling. So you've got a bit of a fan base. You probably can sell them something, but the goal now is you need to figure out exactly what are you going to sell them. And that comes from those early on case studies, figuring out what people really need. So you've done those case studies. You've made a PowerPoint. I'm a big PowerPoint girl. I think it's very important if you're starting a business to have some type of visual in front of you that allows you to be able to kind of see these results. So what I would do from there is that customer journey. And again, right, if you want to be an influencer or creator, this is very specific. Look, if you want to be an influencer or creator and you're doing a customer journey, you have very much set yourself apart, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be successful. And you should be more than just a content creator. However, if you want to just be a TikTok or an influencer, this conversation, at least this early on part of it, is really geared towards those who are looking to actually build a true company. So now you've got this customer journey, right? So you've done these case studies and you've gotten a range of people. Perhaps you've interviewed 10 people between 25 to 35, and you've interviewed 10 people between 35 to 45, if that's your demographic. So now let's open up PowerPoint and let's type in, a case study. Let's use Alexa for example. Alexa's 26. She has a successful company and brand, but I'm struggling with my confidence, which is holding me back from finding new clients for my company or outsourcing the workload. So I am just at a maintained pace for this company instead of being able to scale it. Where Alexa would like to be is more confident. She'd like to have her hourly consulting fee from 300 to 400 so that 3 times a month she's doing 3 hours of phone calls, and the rest of the time she can focus on building her confidence. And then the end customer, right? Alexa Curtis now, after 6 months, is very successful and has 3 monthly clients. She's charging $100 more than what she was 6 months ago. She's able to spend all of the time traveling the world. Alexa Curtis is fucking great. That is your customer journey. Once you can put a label on that journey, you're able to help people regardless of where they are. And this is also very relative if perhaps you want to start a coaching business. I spoke to a premium newsletter subscriber last week. We had a coaching call, and his core focus is finance and wellness. However, he doesn't have any specific expertise in finance, right? So he's putting stuff on the internet, great blog posts, but he's not an expert. The amount of time it's taken me to become an expert is 10 years because I didn't go to school. I'm not trained in business. However, I feel very confident with everything that I say, being able to train you guys or anyone who listens to this podcast or my work, whatnot, because I have literally lived through this stuff, the highs, the lows, everything in between. So let's call this guy Bob last week, right? Bob is not an expert, and he was kind of all over the place. And we spoke about this, and he was very aware of it because, of course, he's trying to make the coaching business into his full-time thing, but he also has a family, and that takes time. It takes effort and it takes time. But I said, Bob, you need to start from the beginning, right? You're kind of all over the place. You know where you want to be, and that's a successful coaching business with content online about finances. But everything before that is how you're going to build this coaching business, the clients. But you got to figure out really what they need because finances is so broad. Fashion is so broad. Tech is so broad. Does your ideal client need to know things like how to open a Roth or how to overcome anxiety about money? Once you figure out those pain points, and that's what you do through those case studies, you're going to be able to build a really, really awesome either consulting business or coaching business. Okay, so you've done the case studies, you've done your customer journey. Now what? So now is when you start to build. And I love the build. I mean, the build is what excites me, I think, the most. I interviewed a founder the other day, the founder of Guide, which is an AI tool, kind of notes, tasking, whatever. He's a serial entrepreneur. Both of his companies are VC backed. And I asked him what his favorite part of entrepreneurship is, and he said it's the build. And I can kind of relate to it. I mean, look, the highs and the lows, the highs are so high sometimes, and the lows are so low. So if you are not obsessed with the build and the highs and the lows, then you're overlooking the whole part of this thing called entrepreneurship. It's this beautiful, beautiful thing. And it's an incredible asset if you enjoy it, but that's sometimes what the best part is. So when I say the build, I mean, let's now figure out how are you going to build clients? How are you going to start making money? So I'm going to do this for the traditional founder and then also for the content creator, influencer, coacher kind of person like me. I fall in between, but let's do first like the entrepreneurial content creator kind of person. So brand deals, and I've talked about this on I think a lot of my content. So if you guys want more of this, just type in pitching or brand deals, whatever, on the New Unfiltered, and you'll find some of that content. But what I enjoy about content creation and influencing is, if you are a good content creator or influencer and you are able to find a good niche for you, right? Strategy, fashion, makeup, whatever it is, you have an advantage once you've gotten some of your following up to where you have so many different outlets now. You can look at a perhaps premium newsletter subscription model where you now want to have a weekly newsletter with everything that you've learned in that space, and that goes out to X amount of people. And then through that, your leads, the people you're connecting with, your new customers, you're having them all subscribe to your newsletter. And then you can go to some of them, ask them the kind of content they want. I'm a big fan of Beehive. That's what my newsletter is hosted on. And I run a lot of polls in that newsletter. So I'm constantly interviewing the people who follow me, the fan base, the customer base, because I want to know it. I mean, things change and things change rapidly, right? But I want to know what they want. That's really important to me as I continue to scale any of my companies. So once I've been able to do that, the newsletter, whatnot, now you have options, right? Maybe you want to launch a premium subscription. So again, if you're a content creator, coach, your niche is fashion, tech, shoes, whatever it is. You maybe want to analyze those people who love your work, who love what you're doing. And now you want to offer them this small thing a month. Hey, I'm testing out a premium subscription. Will you pay $10 a month for tips and tricks to being a fashionista in your inbox every morning, plus a WhatsApp or a Telegram group with other, for example, other women in that category? Again, this is heavily dependent on what your brand is. Or perhaps what you want to do is you want to focus on one of your platforms and you really want to find those customers, engage them, TikTok, Instagram, whatnot, and then you want to find the right brand. So I'm a big fan of Passion Fruit. I'm sponsored by Passion Fruit, but also Passion Fruit is how have actually made the majority of my money the past few months, finding brands through Passion Fruit. Anyone can sign up to Passion Fruit. There's no cost. This is not a particular ad in this episode, but I will say that I have had an incredible amount of luck securing brand deals with Passion Fruit. But there's also other networks. There's one called Social Fabric. There's one called Blog Meets Brand. You can become a UGC creator. But here's where I say you got to think about out of the box, right? Now I spend about an hour a day on Twitter or Reddit or LinkedIn, not only responding to what people have to say about business, personal branding, marketing, but also selling my services, right? So I'll go in these Slack groups. I'm actually in 2 that I can think of that I like. If anyone wants those Slack groups as well, you can reach out to me after. I can tell you or add you to them, whatnot. And then on Twitter. So I really use Twitter as a means, especially in the tech and startup space, to upsell something like a membership or to find brands to collaborate with. Because you can specifically type in the category, like your focus maybe on fashion or maybe on tech or maybe on personal branding, like mine is. So I type that in on Twitter. I find people who are engaging about that topic. I'll send them one message like, hey, love your newsletter. Do you want to subscribe to each other's? Or I'll find someone who's potentially said, hey, Twitter tweeted, whatever it is, struggling to figure out how to build a personal brand. Anyone have any advice? Now I will message this character B and be like, hey, Bob, saw your tweet. I would love to chat with you. Do you have a few minutes to get on the phone? I never used to be a fan of phone calls, and I'm still not. I think phone calls are a huge waste of time, and I think they're really dumb. However, I'm very aware that there are certain times you need to get on the phone to make a business successful because it is the littlest thing. I was even on a call a few weeks ago, and someone was like, I can't believe you're like a real person. You actually want to help me. It was like, yeah, that is my company, right? I am not a robot. I do all of 99% of the work behind all of these companies because it is me. And I need to be involved in every step of the process as the companies scale. And so I found that really cute. But, regardless, this is how you create those fans. This is how you create those people that will buy anything you're selling, is you make them feel like they are seen, like they are heard, and like you are able to help them. And so this is a great way, again, content creation, influencing, finding the brand deals, also finding the Also finding the customers, again, so go on Twitter, type in things, connect with people. And then as well on LinkedIn, you can also go on companies like top companies that have raised money or venture capital firms. I always love working with brands who have just raised money because they're so excited. The person in marketing, works for a startup, so they're probably a huge fan of the startup space and they're excited to work with you, versus the partnerships I've done with larger companies. It's annoying sometimes. They're just annoying. And I hate to say that. And if we've partnered and you are, part a larger company, you probably know you're annoying because you have to be. The rules for those larger companies are so much more intense than, say, a smaller startup. I would also say if you want to secure brand deals and you're a content creator, so there's the premium newsletter subscription, that's how you can start making money. Or there's also the element where you can start just Googling like small companies in my area, right? Fashion, tech, whatever it is. Start cold pitching those founders. Ask if they are interested in getting on a call with you. Say that you're a huge fan of the brand, you're interested in potentially teaming up. Would love to see if they'll get on the phone and go over some ideas. I think that's a really great way to build these long-term relationships. And I think for every creator, influencer, whatnot, the goal is that you want to secure retainer clients. So you want to secure people who are coming back to you month after month, wanting more content, wanting another post, because that's how you'll make the most money. And then you're able to get them into, say, like a $2,000 or $3,000, maybe at the beginning it's $100 or $500 contract deal, where every month you've got $3,000 or $500 coming in a month from this brand. And so you've got that secured, and now you can focus on building the customer base and perhaps dropping a new product. So then there's the entrepreneurial side of things. So content creators, you need to make the brand partnerships. You need to continue to scale that business. But what about if you're an entrepreneur and you already have those clients or you already have those people? So if you've already got a bit of a foot in the door, now is when it comes down to, okay, let's talk about scaling. And I think that's a very common word in the tech industry. And I kind of hate that word, but I also kind of love that word because everyone wants to scale. And even if you're a personal brand, you want to scale. You want to get those contract deals. For years, I never had contract deals. And now I have them. And it's nice because I know this month I'm making X amount of money. And so if I want to spend the rest of the month doing a different project or working on something else, I'm secured. But so if you're the entrepreneur and you've already got those clients, now how can you figure out, okay, so you've got these people, but you either want to A, drop a new product, or B, you want to figure out if you can start upselling them and spend less time working. And so that means perhaps you want to drop a course, you want to drop an ebook, or more importantly, maybe you want to go back to those customers, the ones who are your really, really good ones, already paying, they're already doing it, they have the budget, and see what you can either A, add on as an addition to that, or B, will they pay a little bit more per month because you're now upping your rates. If you happen to be the founder who is starting from the beginning and you've got, let's say, this mug, this beautiful mug, you've got a mug company, right? Again, plug in whatever it is you're launching, socks, maybe you've got plants, mugs, I don't know, sex toys, whatever it is, have fun with it. Now, how do you get in front of that client? So I find a lot of people get so discouraged because they think they're going to either A, release a product and it's going to blow up, or B, they are going to release it and it's going to be a slow build, but it's all just going to start to come together. And I mean, no, that's not how this works. That's not how business works. And in this day and age, when things are so saturated, you better be ready to work your ass off for more than a year or 2 years to make your company big. And sometimes it may even be longer than that because look, there is so much saturation in this market now. And if you go into a market that is saturated, which are 99% of markets, and you think you are any different than somebody else, you need a reality check at the front door because you will fail earlier than you will succeed. And you will probably fail at the first or second company until you find that idea. But what I can always say is the founders who I also speak to who have been doing something 18 months and they don't have the results they want, my advice is, look, this just takes a long time. But I think there's also pain points you want to address. And more importantly, you also want to think about, okay, so if your company after 18 months, you are not making a lot of money. And this is not a conversation at this point now for the creator and the influencer. This is for the person who's got, a larger consulting firm. Maybe you're a coach or you've got that sock company, the mug company. This is for you. Because now you have to realize, okay, financially, what can you afford to do and how long of a runway do you have before you either need to A, raise money, that can be from VC, that could be from friends and family, or B, give up. There are just times where you may be like, this is not the idea. And it's frustrating and it sucks, but you need to give up and you need to move on. If you are like, I have done this for 18 months and I see progress, it's going really slow, but I still want to quit my day job and do it full time, go for it 100%. Do that customer journey, figure out those people's pain points, and I guarantee you that you will have success if you utilize the tips that I'm giving to you, which a lot of the times start with like Slack groups and Twitter and messaging people on LinkedIn and making people aware of your services. You will get results and you can slowly build from there. But if you have hit that mark and it's not working, it's just not working. I think as a founder, sometimes like I've had moments where I've had years where something's just not working, and look, and I've given up on it. I've also had times where I've given up on something for 2 years and then I've gone back to it because I'm like, maybe it works now. So the questions, something you really need to ask yourself as the founder is, there's the business side of things, but then there's also the personal side of things. Do you have a family? Do you have kids? Do you need insurance? How long can you afford to pursue an idea that you love, even though it's not working, right? Yeah, but okay, so aside from that, so perhaps, yes, so now you need to find this client base. You need to start expanding. Where do you do that? I am a big fan personally of small brands doing like farmers markets and local fairs. I think it's also would be a great idea if you've got a small brand in your area, host your own event with other small local brands. I think that one-on-one relationship building, like I said, that person who was shocked that I even got on the phone. I think for me to be so personal, for you as a founder to really show someone that you care, it just ups the ante than what they see on the internet. It makes somebody know that like you really love your product and you really believe in it. And so I would say if you've got a CPG product, you've got a product that's being sold, try and get into some stores, go cold sell it, see what people want. Always ask why you're rejected. And then second of all, strategic partnerships, like you're a candle brand. Okay, well, what about doing a cute holiday giveaway with a local sock brand in your area on Instagram? You can find all of this stuff on the internet. Or, should you be going directly to people on Instagram and making them aware of your product, whether it's a tool, whether it's a notebook? And then, of course, there's the element behind it that's like the social media, the branding stuff. Do you have a good website? Look, Squarespace is $20 a month. You can get a domain from there. You can make a great website. You can use Durable. I use Durable. It's that AI tool. I'm also sponsored by them, but it's a great free place to make a website. All this, it's there for you. So if your website is shit or your social media is shit, like I can't help you because why is your stuff shit, right? Like fix it. It doesn't need to be bad. You can do this, or you can hire someone for $5 from Fiverr or Upwork or Alexa Curtis Consulting who will do this for you. So make sure that all your ducks are in a row before you start selling yourself, your idea, and then again, figuring out that pain point. Now, I want to talk about like LLCs, sole proprietorship. So I'm an LLC. At the beginning, I was a sole proprietorship. And then all of my other businesses kind of fall under that same situation. So I did not start an LLC until I think I was making like $600 a month. I can tell you, like most of the time, content creation, influencing, look, unless you're making $5,000 a month, you can get away for a year. And this is just from my own personal experience. So feel free to consult a lawyer or whatever you guys need to do. You can get away for a year if you're making under $1,000 not having an LLC. A lot of the times you're paid on Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, whatever. It's not getting written off. That doesn't mean you don't want to write it off. But then when it comes to hiring and whatnot, okay, that's where it's a bit different, right? So if I now hire a videographer or photographer, it ends up I'm paying them $600 and I'm writing a check and it's coming from the company. So this stuff is different. So now I probably want to be an LLC. If I'm an influencer, if I'm a content creator and I'm making a decent amount of money, right? And you just want to protect yourself, sole proprietorship. So then there's also like, C Corps and B Corps. And I only have experience from another company with a C Corp. And I think that's more like for charity reasons, for like being able to take donations and whatnot. If you're a content creator, an influencer, oh my gosh, this ambulance outside is having a vibe today. Well, I hope whoever they're going to save is okay, but sorry about that. I forgot what it's like, you guys, to live in a city. It's phenomenal. It's like so exciting. Okay, so yes, so sole proprietorship, I think that's fine if you're a creator. If you're a small business, socks, kitchen tools, you probably want to be an LLC. And what I didn't realize about LLCs, sole proprietorships, but predominantly LLCs, is you need to be protected. I will tell you, and one day I yearn to be able to go into more detail about this, but I cannot right now. In business, things can go wrong. Okay, they will go wrong. You will sign contracts early on, I have, that you should not have signed. Sometimes things will go really wrong. And sometimes in business, people will be people that you didn't expect them to be at the beginning. I take a lot of pride in myself. I know I've handled business situations at some points, especially in my teens, wrong, or I got a little bit too angry, or I was frustrated, whatnot. I now take so much pride in myself to know that I am honest. I would never screw somebody over. And I believe in my ideas, and I am fine to give up on something if it is not working. Not everyone believes in that or lives that kind of lifestyle. So you need to be prepared. And so I'm telling you, and I urge you to listen to this, to not sign contracts that are not in your favor, to look at certain terms, especially as a creator. For example, I got a contract the other day from a brand. The money was so low, but literally, again, like money, time, right? It took me 10 minutes to do what they wanted. So I was like, screw it, I'll do it. It was for 2 posts. It took me not even 10 minutes. And so I almost went and signed my name in this contract to have my name used in this content that I made for 6 months, right? I had to email the brand back twice. Now, I didn't have a lawyer review this particular contract because I know these terms. At this point, I know exactly what to sign. I know exactly what will screw me over, la da da da. This is from life experience. I didn't need a lawyer to review this because I knew. I knew that for the amount of money, if I were to sign that contract, they would now have the Alexa Curtis rights for 6 months, which means I'm going to pretend the brand was Target. It wasn't. I'm going to pretend that I signed my life away to Target for 6 months. That means I could be walking down the street in New York City and Alexa Curtis, the photo I made is on a Target billboard for 6 months. And I was paid, for example, $100, right? I have now given Target my name, my likeness for 6 months for $100. That is a term you never want to do. And a lot of these brands will go after and try and put that in there. And I will tell you why they will put it in there is because for them, that kind of marketing to pay me to do a post and then use my post cuts out the middleman versus Target going to a Today Show or a Vogue magazine and saying, how much does it cost for us to sponsor your magazine? And then Vogue will say, okay, well, it'll cost $10,000 for the placement, plus we need a model, plus we need someone for the copy, plus we need legal to approve it. Now you've got a $25,000 deal. Versus Alexa Curtis will give you a video for $100, and now you can use that video everywhere. So be really cautious of those terms, especially in content creation. Okay, so the LLC, we tackled that. We tackled the contracts. Let's see. What else should we tackle? Okay, starting a business. Where do you start? I guess the name. I think in this day and age, it's really easy with ChatGPT. So I don't use ChatGPT often. I will tell you what I use ChatGPT for. I use ChatGPT sometimes for Instagram captions. I use ChatGPT for rewording something. I use ChatGPT for if I needed to like make a small proposal. I don't ever write blog posts with ChatGPT. I don't ever, really write tweets with ChatGPT. If you do, that's great. I don't. I prefer to do that stuff manually. But if you are trying to figure out a name, ChatGPT is great for that. So perhaps you want to type in, we'll use, you're starting a coffee company in Seattle and the beans are Costa Rican. Go on ChatGPT, it's free. I would say, I always accidentally say, like, hi, ChatGPT, can you? And I forget. I don't need to be like, hi, honey, how are you today? Make me a name for a coffee company based out of Seattle with Costa Rican beans. That's delicious that I can sell at farmers markets. Boom. ChatGPT, make me a name for a website that is very girly, but also sexy and focuses on fashion undergarments for women. Boom. ChatGPT, help me come up with a name for my consulting business. And what sets the business apart is that I focus on personal founders or personal brands. Boom, there you go. That's a great thing to use ChatGPT for. And now perhaps you want to use that name as the name of the company, or maybe you've already set up an LLC and you want to change the name and now you just want to do a DBA. So DBA is doing business as. So if you've got, company and then you want to start a smaller company under it, but it's all under that one LLC, Maybe you want that's a DBA and you can do that online. And that means then you can start sending invoices as the second name, but it doesn't need to go through the whole process of setting up an LLC. So when you set up an LLC as well, you need like a lawyer or something. Probably. No, I'm kidding. You need a lawyer. So you can find one online for cheap. You can also do the paperwork yourself. It's kind of a pain in the ass if you do it yourself. This is the same for trademarking. I never had anything trademarked my whole life until I realized I needed a trademark. And so if you're a creator or whatnot, look, you can't trademark your name. So if you've got an idea or like a company and it is generating revenue and there's possibility that perhaps this idea could be stolen or taken, you probably want to trademark that. I actually trademarked my company originally with a guy on Upwork. It was great. I think I paid him like $500, maybe 300. He did all the paperwork for me, all the processing. I read all of the reviews. It was amazing. And that's the same. So who set up my LLC actually is not that guy from Upwork. I had a proper like accountant slash lawyer do it, but you could easily find somebody on Upwork or Fiverr to do that LLC filing. Just look at the reviews, ask around. But these are things that are important to do. You just want to be cautious. Like I said earlier, things in business can go wrong. If you start working with somebody, if you have a co-founder, if XYZ, and you sign any type of contract, having this LLC name saves you from being personally attacked or taken advantage of. And so you've got like you and your assets as a person, and then you've got the business assets. And that means that, for example, if a business files for bankruptcy, or somebody comes after you for like a credit card amount of money, whatnot, they cannot come after you personally for that. They can only go after your business. And so these are just things that you want to be aware of. And okay, I think that was a lot of information. I don't want to overwhelm you guys too much with all of this, but this is the key starters to starting a business. This is what I wish I had started sooner. This is what I wish I had known. It's very important, I think, that you, before you even start your business or your idea, you figure out why you're doing this. I mean, I started my blog because I had no friends, right? And I loved fashion. So I wanted to create that person. I had nobody to look up to back when I was growing up. And so I wanted to create that person. Why are you starting this? You want to inspire people through coaching, right? Let's use this Bob character from the week ago with the financial discussion we had and his blog and whatnot. And I said, Bob, like, why you, right? Why are you an expert in this field? And if you're expecting people to pay you to tell them how to run their life, how to look better, how to feel better, you better figure out what the fuck makes you such a good person to ask that question to. And a lot of the times it is years and years of doing something. Like myself, 5 years ago, I would never have felt comfortable telling any of you guys this, how to start a business, anything, because I did not consider myself an expert. Now I'm lucky to say I am fully an expert in this space. So I feel comfortable saying that. So a lot of the times it just takes time to become that expert, but it also takes the vulnerableness to say, for example, like I was bullied and that's why I started a blog to help kids and to fill that role. Bob, his talks about finances and debt, I didn't actually get to figure that out with him on that particular first phone call, but you know what I would have liked for him to answer in our next question is like for him, right? Why finances? Were you or are you in a lot of debt? Is this something that is your pain point, right? Like when you think, oh my gosh, I wish someone had told me that. That's that figure. I also had another girl last week. She's a new premium subscriber as well. She's just out of college. I'm going to use a different name for her. She's mid-20s. We'll call her Morgan. She lives in Denver, right? Morgan's awesome, but Morgan, I think throughout the call, so she currently works a job she hates. It's in HR. She wants to do something else. And so she came to me because she was trying to figure out, should she pursue this body image wellness company she wants to pursue, but she also doesn't know exactly how to pursue it. And I said, why you, right? So you don't exactly know what the pain point of your customer is, but you want to help these girls overcome, what is it, binge eating? Is it anorexia? Is it bulimia? She also doesn't have a degree in this. And so she asked me, do I need a degree to educate people about this? And I said, no. Your life skills can be your degree, but you need to tread lightly, especially with like mental health and wellness. So if you're planning to start telling girls how to overcome their eating disorder, I would bring in a therapist. I would always say, transparently, I am not a doctor. So if you need to speak to a doctor, I can refer you to one. But the biggest thing for Morgan now is figuring out, okay, what is this product and why? And I think that she struggled with a lot of body image issues, never felt like she had anyone to talk to, and now she wants to help other young women. And so that's the pain point right there. Once you can figure out that's your product market fit, now you're able to find customers, because really the customers you're finding are like you. All of the clients through this, like Alexa Curtis Consulting, or even I think a lot of you who follow me, right? We're all very similar, right? Like, you guys want to start businesses, you want to have side hustles, you want to make a living doing whatever you love, you want to spend less time working and more time living. That is how I was. That was how I was when I started at 12 years old. I always had this grand dream idea for my life. And that is what I have made my life to be. The only difference right now between you and I is you're probably at point A, and that's why you want my help to get to where I am now. And that took me 10 years. So, how can I help you guys do that in less time? And for free, obviously, on the podcast. So that is a wrap. That is this week's episode of the New Unfiltered. I hope that this helped. I really, really want you guys to come to this podcast and not only feel inspired, but also feel a little bit safer on your journey. This is it's a scary thing, I can tell you, to start a business. And if you're able to do it and you're doing it successfully and you're doing it wisely, and especially with these tips, you will have success. All you need to do is remember that you can't give up. But if there is a time and a place where you need to give up, that's totally fine, because many founders end up doing multiple things before they figure out that real money idea. And then from there, you're on your way. You're good to go. I was going to say, I can't wait to connect with you guys, but I can't wait to figure out from all of you how you're building, how you're scaling, how it's going. If you want to participate in a premium newsletter subscription, you could do that through Stay Fearless or Die Trying. The link is on my social media, it's in my bio. This podcast is called The New Unfiltered. So if you go ahead and type that in everywhere, you will find this podcast, and love if you guys can write a review. Let me know what you want to see on the show. And again, I am really trying to build out now the Stay Fearless or Die Trying newsletter. So go ahead and subscribe to that, connect with me, and you do get that coaching call when you go ahead and sign up. And so that's a very exciting thing, because from there you're able to have that call with me, and then we can go over exactly what you need and go from there. Have an amazing rest of your guys' week, and I will see you back next week for a new episode of The New Unfiltered.